if you are sending data into Zapier to then push out to another downstream destination, you could be in breach of compliancy through the use of that tool. So don't just look at pixels. It's your entire marketing ecosystem, MarTech stack that has to be assessed. And then the good news is, right, there are HIPAA compliant alternatives to almost all of these technologies. It's just a case of assessing them and then onboarding the correct ones that work best for you. So this is a great moment to then step back and say, what's ideal for great advertising? What is the MarTech stack that I should have in order to do the best possible advertising? Think of this as kind of a reset moment. The chances are, if we're really being honest with ourselves as marketers, we probably didn't have the ideal tech stack before. And so now we have an opportunity to really take a long, hard look at it and say, how can we not only get compliant, but also improve our tech stack? So there's a couple of things here, right? The quality of the signal, right? We want to capture deep signals that are close to business goals. We want a holistic tracking method. We got a question about this, right? Like, even if I do a tracking plan, it feels overwhelming if I have to apply it across multiple platforms and multiple sites. You want a holistic tracking mechanism, whether that is a Google Analytics replacement, whether that is through a CDP or a healthcare privacy platform like FreshPaint, by using multi-touch attribution. You want a holistic way of counting all the patient activity that happens so that you can dedupe it and have a source of truth of what's going on. Then you really need to be able to inform your ad platforms, right? So not only are you capturing that quality data, but you're able to send it back to ad platforms in a HIPAA compliant way. Then you want a data set that's easy to query, right? So if I'm building dashboards, if I'm building reports, I want it to be flexible. I want it to be fast. I want to be able to iterate versions for different stakeholders quickly. And then ideally, and this is ideal, you want end-to-end, right? So can I tie back from the first time they came to the website to the fact that they actually became a patient in the EHR, they actually generated some revenue? Can I pass that back to my marketing platform and understand my ROI? So this is what ideal looks like, right? And this is an opportunity to say, where do we fall in our current tech stack versus ideal? And then how do we get to ideal?
Thanks, Rich. This is real quick. Guys, there's questions happening in the chat. If y'all can help each other out, that's great. And we'll fly through. And whatever's not answered, I promise we'll get to after the fact. And we're not lawyers, can't answer some of them, but y'all help each other there. And Rich, we got about 15 minutes. I want to make sure we get to showing actual advertising and funnels and stuff.
Yeah, so I'll be super brief on this stuff, right? Signals, right? No more high-fiving over forms and calls. What we want to start tracking is the real stuff that drives the bottom line. So there is technology out there that is HIPAA compliant where we can track appointments scheduled, patient value, actualized patient value being passed back from EHRs, tying into online schedulers and tracking booked appointments. We can even see the reasons why patients didn't book. Steve's dropping the ball when we're calling, or he's not even answering the phone. So we want to get all that information and insight so that we can drive better marketing and better outcomes for you guys. And this can be done in a HIPAA compliant way. I mentioned this before, but stop comparing apples to oranges, right? So this is an opportunity where if you bring on the right tech partner, you can have a holistic multi-touch attribution deduped counting model that is going to essentially allow you to understand how each channel is really contributing to the marketing mix, not just the attribution that they're claiming through their own platform, right? Oh, Facebook drove 100 conversions and Google drove 100 conversions, but hang on, I've only got 100 leads. How's that right? Well, it's because they have different counting methodologies and they're cannibalizing each other. So as part of this migration, you really want to think about a holistic counting methodology that is looking at all channels, that is omni-channel, and that it's allowing you to really see what's going on across the ecosystem. And then I mentioned this as well, right? But a solution that allows you to send all of those quality signals that we were talking about 2 slides ago in a compliant way using offline conversions or server-side passbacks back into the ad tools that you leverage and that you need to be successful at driving patient acquisition in a digital ecosystem. And ideally, right, you also want to do this in a way that is easy to set up, pretty much out of the box, and doesn't require a ton of engineering on your end. So there are definitely some tech partners out there that can help you with that in a pretty turnkey way where the implementation is easy. So we mentioned some tech partners before. You know, if you're looking for maybe a GA4 replacement, you're looking for something like Mixpanel that's HIPAA compliant, very flexible. If you're looking for a lead tracking tool that is call tracking and form tracking and online scheduling combined, then you want something like Align, which is also HIPAA compliant. That's that great system that's going to give you those downstream signals like scheduled appointments. If you're looking for the whole kit caboodle, right, like a turnkey solution that is built for healthcare marketers at all levels at all scales, then you want this healthcare privacy platform, which is Freshpaint. They're thinking about things beyond just patient acquisition. They're thinking about things like, you know, can I embed this map? Can I embed this video? They've got a whole host of solutions that's going to help you to be compliant across everything that you do. And then even simple ones, right? Like, are my forms compliant, right? You might be using Gravity Forms, you might be using Contact Form 7. It's time to move to a HIPAA compliant form builder like JotForm or Typeform. They're not that expensive. They're out there. They're easy to get. So it's just a case of getting these components in place. And then you're going to end up with a HIPAA compliant MarTech stack that allows you to do everything you're doing before the HHS bulletin and probably more besides. So cool. I know I rattled that off in 15 minutes. We got to the point where, trust me, now we can track the conversions that I was tracking before, right? But doesn't really help me solve this problem, right? You know, you think about the old world. Yeah, you were probably tracking YouTube interactions and Facebook interactions and Google Ads interactions and all these kind of interactions, but they probably weren't tied together. So you just had a bunch of different disparate data sources reporting out on leads that were driven, but nothing was cumulative and nothing was connected, and you didn't know what was influencing the other. So that's what we're going to talk about today when we're talking about full funnel strategy and full funnel design. So I guess taking a step back, what is full funnel marketing, right? Full funnel marketing is essentially advertising from the top of the funnel, the awareness stage, to the bottom of the funnel, the conversion stage, right? And if you think about it, the widest audience is always going to be at the top. They are either unaware or they are problem aware. The tightest audience is always going to be at the bottom. They are solution aware or they are most aware. They know about your brand specifically and they are seeking you out, right? And so that audience gets narrower and narrower as you go down the funnel. And so the question is, how far up the funnel do I go fishing to try and get patients, right? To essentially drive the most number of patients at the lowest possible cost. Why do we care about full funnel? Well, if you engage all the way through the funnel, your conversion rates are almost 2x than if you are just engaging at the bottom. And if you think about this, right, this makes total sense. If I'm just showing you a paid search ad when you are very close to transaction and that's the first time you've ever engaged with me, I'm way less likely to convert than if I've been to your blog and read educational content about this problem that I have. And then I've seen your ads, your video ads on Facebook and display, and you've really built a brand rapport with me through the middle of the funnel. And then I come to the bottom of the funnel and I type in either your name or I type in a non-brand search and you pop up. I'm like, oh yeah, I know those guys. I trust those guys. I've read their content. They're great. They seem like they know what they're talking about. I'm going to go with that, right? As long as all things are equal in terms of those bottom of the funnel considerations. So actually, by engaging throughout the funnel, we're going to massively increase our conversion rate when we get to the bottom. And the bottom is going to be, paid search. It's going to be organic search. It's going to be direct. So it's about making those traditional conversion driving channels work more effectively for us.
And of course, Google says advertising throughout the funnel yields better CPLs and cost per booking because they want you spending money on YouTube and all the upper funnel stuff. But in our own experience too, we can't provide client data. We have seen a tremendous lift. Sorry, a tremendous decrease in things like CPL and cost per booking and increases in non-brand search and brand search and things like that with our clients that are running full funnel. So not just from Google, we have seen it on a ton of clients that are running omni-channel marketing and sending in for full funnel. So not just from Google, the stuff actually works. Sorry, keep going, Rich. We got about 9 minutes.
No, you're good. I will caveat this. It's not for everyone, right? If you are running a super low consideration, super transactional service, and you have a very low budget that is barely scratching the surface in covering the bottom of the funnel, you don't need to be going up the funnel, right? Like if a DSO is a great example, right? If you have 100 locations and you can support them by spending $200 per month in each of those locations, you want to be on the keyword dentist near me, and that's where you want to spend all your budget, right? You do not want to be trying to engage with people at the top of the funnel. It's really for people who are selling more complex healthcare services that require education, that have more niche patient populations, that have patients with other requirement needs, like we really need our patient to have this type of insurance payer, or we're trying to scale on search, but we've hit diminishing returns with demand capture, and really search is getting, bottom of funnel is getting super expensive. That's the client that this approach works for. But it does not mean that you should just run out and do full funnel tomorrow. You have to assess your circumstances to see if full funnel is right for you. So if you think about it, right, and we kind of touched on this briefly, so I'll just skip over this. When we go full funnel, we are engaging with patients across their journey, and we're building a relationship for them in a more cost-effective way before your competition, who is only at the bottom of the funnel, is in trying to engage with them and snag them as a conversion, right? So this is key. The other key piece, though, and we'll talk about this with creative, is you have to know your patient. And when I say you have to know your patient, you have to know what they want at each stage of the funnel. Right? So don't try and get married to them at the top of the funnel, right? On the first date. What are the things that they care about? What are their needs when they're first exploring the category, when they are problem aware? My hip hurts. What information do I need when I know my hip hurts, right? It's going to be very different than when I'm looking for a PT provider who is round the corner from me. So you've got to know what the patient needs, and you've got to provide that in order for full funnel to work. It's not just a case of let me set up a funnel and watch the dollars come pouring in. The setup is crucial. So let's talk about some of those considerations, right? Firstly, if you're doing just bottom of the funnel right now, you may have, a CPA of $200. You want to diversify and go up the funnel, right? Because you believe that going up the funnel is going to make that downstream CAC more efficient. But how far do you go up the funnel, right? Do you go all the way up to a completely broad demographic audience and you just try and target them? Or do you go up to people who are problem aware and searching for symptoms? That's something that you're going to have to think about with your funnel design, right? The other piece is, what's the break-even point when I go up the funnel, right? So if I have a budget of $10,000 and I have a $200 CPA at the bottom of the funnel, which means I'm driving 50 conversions for my $10,000. If I go spend $8,000 at the top of the funnel on video view campaigns, chances are my CPA is not going to be lower than that 200, right? It's probably going to be 500. But if I go and spend 10% at the top of the funnel, it might go down. My CPA might be 150. So understanding how you allocate budget amongst the funnel, and you're going to have to test this, by the way, right? You're not going to have the perfect solution out the gate, is another thing to think about with funnel design. We talked about, knowing what you have to say to people at each stage of the funnel. And then the other piece is your funnel goal is to filter out people who are not interested in your brand and your service and create warm first-party audiences who are interested, right? We get a lot of questions about, how do I work in a world where third-party cookies are going to go away and third-party audiences are going to be diminished? First-party audiences built through full funnel strategies is the way to combat that. So you've got to figure out how to filter out people and get the right warm audience flowing through the bottom of the funnel that you can convert effectively. Here's an example framework. I'm going to breeze over this, right? Like, you may be running video views at the top of the funnel. You can get those at a couple of cents. Then once they've seen a video and they've engaged with you, they go into the middle of the funnel, and then you're trying to drive them to your website. You're then using your offline conversion passbacks, which are HIPAA compliant, to send that data back to your ad platform that, hey, they went to the site and they did, maybe they spent some time on there. And then you're targeting them with conversion ads, trying to drive that lead, right? So you guys can see how we're stair-stepping down, right? We're asking them for a little bit more each time to get them to where we want them to actually take the action that we really, really want.
Rich, in the last few minutes here may help to show ad creative and results. And I think that's in a few slides here.
Yeah, sure. We can talk about this later if anybody has any questions. Creative and content considerations, essentially, right? If you do this right, you're swapping ad dollars for time invested, right? You're spending a little bit more time on your campaigns. It's harder to do, but you're getting some efficiency back on your media. So the things that you will need are things like 15 to 30-second skippable video. You will probably need some long form blog content to test sending people to at the top of the funnel, right? You want to talk about your brand early and often so that if people are already watching the first 3 to 5 seconds of their video, they still understand who the brand is that they're engaging with. You know, we talk about some creative examples, right? Again, aimed at that funnel stage. So maybe at the top, you're showing someone an ad who's just trying to understand the options for treatment that are out there, right? And you're talking about, you know, this is my treatment modality, this is why it works. Then in the middle of the funnel, you're actually talking about how to differentiate yourself and narrow you as a choice. Like they're trying to narrow choices of who they're going to go to, and you're trying to differentiate yourself so they pick you. At the bottom of the funnel, it is very call to action oriented. It's just about, how do I get you in the car today? Here are the benefits of choosing this provider. This is why they're the right match for you. Let's go, right? So that's how the creative has to be. You can't show that, how do I get you in the car today ad at the top of the funnel. It doesn't work. So just like your funnel design, the creative has to match up appropriately. In terms of measurement, there are a number of different ways to do this, right? What we recommend is that you do inter-funnel measurement. So you think about, what is your ultimate objective? And then you try and track that objective through these different funnels, right? So if I'm going up, if I'm spending 10% on top of the funnel, 10% on middle of the funnel, and 80% on bottom of the funnel, and I really care about a cost per lead, is that funnel mix more effective or less effective at driving a cost per lead in totality, same budget, than if I just spend 100% at the bottom of the funnel? That doesn't mean that your campaign objectives in the top and the middle of the funnel are a cost per lead. They are not, but you're looking at how many leads that funnel drove and at what cost to determine if it's more efficient than if I just spend time at the bottom of the funnel, right? So this is the measurement strategy that we recommend. Obviously, you can kind of, that to start with, then you can kind of really blow it out of the water, right? You can do brand lift studies, you can do multi-touch attribution, you can do holdout groups, you can do omni-channel analytics, you know, you name it, right? You can really see how full funnel is truly impacting the entire scope of your digital effort. But you know, that's sort of phase 2 once you got your full funnel strategy set up and you're understanding its initial efficiency. I'll just leave you on this slide, right? Multi-touch funnel strategies drive down the cost of acquiring patients when it is done right at the bottom of the funnel. It's important to build warm first-party audiences in a world where audience limitations are becoming more and more of a thing. And having the right measurement strategy is crucial. Otherwise, what you will end up finding is, you know, you'll just go back to the old ways because it's easier, right? It's easier to just run search ads at the bottom of the funnel. So really making sure you're measuring the impact is critical. All right. I think we just kind of got by there at 2:30. So that was a quick one. But appreciate you guys listening. Hope it was helpful. I know we couldn't touch on every single thing, but we are open to questions as follow-ups, right, Alex?
Yeah, we've got them all in there. And guys, you have our emails that go out. Feel free to ask them in here or respond back to the emails that go out with any questions. And we're happy to put the tech partners in place or have our media team dive in and answer a lot. I mean, guys, this is only 30 minutes and you have questions. I see all the questions coming in. A lot of it's around HIPAA compliance. Like where do I even start? What is HIPAA compliant? Is a chatbot HIPAA compliant? I have Pardot just because I have a BAA. Is that HIPAA compliant? I don't have all the answers, but we'll get with the team and we'll get with tech partners and we'll try to get you into the right direction. Coming out of this, I have tons more thoughts on content that we need to produce. Obviously, we need a community here that's centered around this and probably more than a 30-minute live stream because there's a lot coming in. It's like we have tons of questions on what's HIPAA compliant, and we have tons of questions on how the hell do we do omni-channel full funnel advertising? Like where do we start in the tech partners and all that kind of fun stuff. So you'll be hearing more from me and Rich, more from Rich than me. And that's the way it should be because he's the smart one. Rich, thank you for putting all this together. And it's just the start, guys. Send in your questions and we'll try to put something together every 30 days that gets us further down the answer funnel. Hey, I did it, Rich. I used it. You know, I thought about that one last night.
Funnel puns.
All right, guys.
Lovely.
Thank you for your time and feel free to send in any questions. Thank you, John. I appreciate you paying attention to my stupid pun. All right, guys. More to come. More great content from Rich in the coming
All right.
months. Talk to y'all.
Thanks,
later.
everyone.
See ya.
Bye.